What's up, Speak For Yourself listeners? It's your boy Shay Sharp, co-host of FS1's Undisputed. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now, back to Speak For Yourself.
Welcome to Speak For Yourself. Marcellus Wiley here. Big dog. Oh, no, little puppy? You know Nick got a little itty bitty teacup. My dog right there, Emmanuel Immaculate Acho. All right, let's get to our top story brought to you by Popeye's Chicken Sandwich. Need one of those in my life. Let's talk about Tom Brady, who's fresh off of winning his 7th Super Bowl title on Sunday. He was also named MVP after becoming the second quarterback all time to lead 2 different franchises to a title. Brady won 6 titles with Bill Belichick, but his current coach, Bruce Arians, said before the Super Bowl that he thinks Brady was, quote, making a statement. It wasn't all Coach Belichick. So Acho spoke. Does Tom Brady's Super Bowl win change your opinion of Bill Belichick? Are we still on Popeyes?
Hey,
y'all want me to go?
Hey,
that drive-thru ready.
Good now. Those sandwiches good.
It's still Black History Month. There's a lot going on right now. All right, keep going. Let's talk it.
Yeah, man, my opinion of Bill Belichick has changed, but it has started to change over the course of time. It sounds crazy, but let's break it down.
Let's go.
Why do we have our opinions of Bill Belichick? We formulated our opinions of Bill Belichick, the greatest coach of all time, because he was the greatest winner of all time, talking about national football, not other sports.
Okay.
So we formulated our opinions of Bill Belichick because of how much he won with Tom Brady.
Say it.
We were saying, look, we've never seen winning like this. We've never seen it. In football, we've never seen it. In most other sports, we really ain't seen it. WNBA, we've seen it on occasion. NCAA basketball, we've seen it on occasion. Maybe we've seen it in NCAA football if you're talking Nick Saban, if you're talking a great Bear Bryant. But we sure as heck haven't seen it in the National Football League. We formulated our opinions of Bill Belichick because of how much he won. But wait.
Oh, God.
What if Bill Belichick wasn't the primary factor for winning?
Not the pause.
Well, wait.
Okay, here we go.
What if Bill Belichick was a side dish instead of the main course?
Boy, you called him a side piece? Oh, no, you better explain yourself,
let the finger of truth fall where it may.
Oh, goodness.
Bill Belichick, Marcellus, I think he was a side. I don't know if he was a main dish. Why do I say that? We say Bill Belichick, he won 6 chips in 18 years with Tom Brady. That is amazing.
You think?
Won every 3 years. Well, yeah, I want to say you think. But Marcellus, what's more amazing? Winning 1 chip in 1 year with Tom Brady, Bruce Arians. Ooh. So now I'm just wondering, did Bill Belichick overachieve? Did he achieve or did he underachieve? It sounds asinine to say that he underachieved, winning 6 titles in 18 years, but are we not actually slapping Tom Brady in the face to say maybe Brady could have won more? Marcellus, Tom Brady is in his worst physical shape of his career, 43 years of age. No offseason, not the same team, not the same playbook, not the same coaching staff, and he went and won year 1. It just makes me wonder, could he have won more with a Bruce Arians team? That is laughable. It's laughable,
yeah,
sure.
Well, so why are you not laughing?
Because it's not laughable to me.
Wow.
It's laughable if you hear that and you're like, oh, my God, Bill Belichick's the most amazing person ever. Sure, maybe. But you said last week, and I think I co-signed you, this is Tom Brady's greatest achievement.
Yeah.
So if this
story, and
in difficulty.
Yeah.
Right? Like in difficulty.
Performance, outcome, everything in totality.
I'm going to save some ammo, but I'm going to end my first lap like this. I'm going to save some ammo. I'm going to end my first lap.
All right.
Tom Brady, I think for the first time in NFL history, beat 3 former Super Bowl MVPs en route to winning his Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP. Aaron Rodgers, Super Bowl MVP. Drew Brees, Super Bowl MVP. You could argue that this was Tom Brady's most difficult Super Bowl to win while in his eldest form. I'm just saying this. We gave Bill Belichick all this credit for everything he accomplished with Tom Brady. Who's to say Tom Brady couldn't have accomplished more?
Oh, man. Woo, you gave me a whole lot of Tyrese. I disagree with you. And I disagree with you because of your starting point. But first, let me preface all this by giving my grandma some respect. Rest in peace, Grandma, who said, baby, you can't make sense out of nonsense. Okay. And I'm going to try to make some sense out of what Acho said because it was nonsense. But let's start with the building blocks of who Bill Belichick was and is.
Yes, sir.
Bill Belichick was a tremendous defensive coordinator. Like, no side piece defensive coordinator here. To the point where the great Bill Parcells, the tuna, was having to look over his back because people were yelling, yo, that other guy is the key to their success. And that was the tuna. I remember those days and playing against those teams. Okay, now let's talk about Bill Belichick when he's a New England Patriot, because we know what happened in Cleveland. He did well, not well enough. He didn't win a Super Bowl, won a playoff game. That was the last time they won a playoff game until this year. And they had an 11-win season. So they did well in Cleveland. Congratulations to your hood-rich success. Now let's talk about Bill Belichick when he got Tom Brady. Year one, Tom Brady didn't get any starts, right? He didn't play. He didn't get much in.
Did not.
They had a $100 million man in Drew Bledsoe, right? So in Tom Brady's first year as a starter, what did he do with Bill Belichick? The same thing you over here applauding Bruce Arians for. He won a Super Bowl. Now, your rookie year, let's just be real about it, in terms of playing versus Tom Brady in his 21st year. Which one you think's more difficult in terms of you going out there first year, never seeing the NFL, and whoa, and you win a Super Bowl versus the 21st year? They're comparable. I don't want to have that argument because I know how you get when you lean back. Here comes the ammo. So anyway, they're comparable. But let's not applaud Bruce Arians and drown out Bill Belichick in this same conversation. Now let's talk about why Tom Brady's in the position where your opinion has changed to Bill Belichick. Brady's smart. Brady's learned a lot from Bill Belichick. He learned so much from Bill Belichick. I mean, like Daniel's son from Mr. Miyagi. Like, he walked up to Bill Belichick, didn't know what to do. I'm a pick 199. I can't even run a 40. My chest is inverted. I don't know which way is up. And Bill Belichick said, don't worry. We will do a wax on, wax off. Oh, he started to work on Tom Brady to the tune of what? 6 Super Bowl championships. But Brady learned something else from Bill Belichick. He learned it the hard way, and he turned it on Bill Belichick. Remember when Bill Belichick would get rid of a player a year sooner than later? Would get rid of a player when he still had a lot of toothpaste left in the tube? Yes, sir. And Tom Brady even felt some of that when they drafted Jimmy G. And Bill Belichick wanted Tom Brady out of there a few years ago. Yes, sir. But Bob Kraft came in and said, not Tom the terrific. He stays. But the point is, Tom Brady took notice of that. So what did he do? When he knew he still had some toothpaste left in his tube, he left earlier than he had to leave. Think about it. He left a situation where they had 12 wins. He left a situation where they were a playoff team. And he left a situation where he was in the easier division, always guaranteed those 10-plus wins to make sure he was always a playoff team. But where did he go? He went to the worst sports franchise in sports history. Yes, sir. But why did he go? Because everywhere he looked, it was an upgrade except in one place, head coach. And he had learned so much from his head coach, he said, I could borrow his ways, take it to the worst situation, and make it magic. Let me tell you about that. Oh, you ain't cutting me off. I got grandma texts. I got all this coming out. No, in short, for my first lap, let me say this. Look at the upgrades, bro. Yes, sir. If you're Tom Brady, you took a great defense in New England and got another great defense, but younger defense in Tampa. If you look at the wide receiver position, you're talking about trading in Julian Edelman for Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, who just happened to have the most receiving yards as a duo when you left to go to Tampa Bay. Oh, when you talk about tight end production, you leave tight ends that have totaled up 0 touchdowns in New England his last year versus, let me go get Gronk and the others, and we have 9 touchdowns out of Gronk just by himself. Talk to me. Everywhere you look, it was an upgrade, big dog. And then he said, the only thing I need is a coach. I got a damn good coach in Bruce Arians, but let me use some of my Miyagi knowledge with Bruce Arians, and we can have success. And that's what happened.
Here's what I won't do, because I love the coaches that have played pivotal roles in my life. You know, coaches have played pivotal roles in yours.
Reach.
But at the same time, I'm not going to take away the work I put in. Sal, let me ask you this. If you don't go to Columbia, do you still go to the National Football League?
Yes.
If I don't go to Texas, and I was coach, defensive coordinator was Will Muschamp, former head coach of South Carolina, and Manny Diaz, current head coach of Miami. They were amazing. Got me to where I had to go. But I fervently believe If I would have went somewhere besides Texas, I still would have found my way to the league.
But we can't prove that.
You can't.
I can't either.
You can't. But I fervently believe because of the intentional and just internal wherewithal of myself that I was still going to make it. So what I'm not going to do is discredit Tom Brady as if he needed somebody to hold his hand growing up. Well, Tom Brady, you were picked 199, so, you know, it's all because of me that you got your success. I'm not going to do that to Tom Brady. I done slept on Tom Brady enough, and the alarm woke me up, Sel. So that's my first point is, like, I'm tired of us doing that. Right? Jimmy Johnson, all hail Jimmy Johnson. But remember, he came on the show and said, look now, somebody had to make Tom Brady Tom Brady. I respect that. Coaches play a pivotal role.
You think?
But in the same breath, I'm not going to sleep on the fact of Tom Brady had to step on the field between the white lines, do the job himself. Furthermore, we run with narratives that the world gives us. Nick Saban, he failed as an NFL coach. We run with that narrative. Wait a second, Nick Saban won 9 games his first year. The Dolphins have only won 9 games 4 times in the last 17 years. Saban was one of those. So did he really fail as a head coach? Second year, he only won 6 games, but he lost a starting quarterback. So did he really fail as a head coach? We run with narratives. We've sprinted with this narrative. Sprinted with it. I'm not going to take anything necessarily away from Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. But what I am going to do is give much more to Tom Brady. And if y'all deduce the truth, y'all go ahead and deduce the truth.
But you can't give more to Tom Brady in this conversation and not rob Bill Belichick, because that's what you're doing. You're setting it up saying, I'm not going to discredit Brady. But by the contrary, you're going to just discredit Bill Belichick, because now you're going to say, look, it's 100%, whatever you want to look at it. It's one pie. And you gave this amount to Tom Brady before, this slice, and now you're like, I'm going to give him a bigger slice. Whoa, who's going to get a smaller slice? There's only 2 people trying to eat. Guess what? It's going to be Bill Belichick. I'm not going to let you do that on my watch. I'm not going to let you rewrite history right in front of my face. Let's talk about this history, because I love my point about Tom Brady learning from Bill Belichick. The excessive loyalty that some people get enamored with. Oh, my God, I'm going down with the ship. And Brady didn't go down with the ship because Belichick never went down with the ship. He stayed up. He'd get rid of you because you're dead weight, even if you still could help him to his ultimate goal, ultimate desire of winning a trophy, Lombardi style. He still would get rid of players left and right. Richard Seymour comes to mind. Ty Law comes to mind. All these great players, and he's just like, you got to go. So I love that Tom Brady kind of used the medicine on Bill Belichick that Bill Belichick used on so many other players. He had to take it as well. But let's talk about this situation right here. Because you look at Bill Belichick, and it seems like you don't give enough credit, enough respect to him. Answer this, Acho.
Talk to me.
Did you take any credit away from the multiple head coaches that won with other quarterbacks? Let's say this. When Bill Cowher had Ben Roethlisberger and they went on to win another Super Bowl with Mike Tomlin, did you look back at Bill Cowher and say, ugh? Did you do that? Because right now you look at Bruce Arians like he's Mike Tomlin, and then you got to look back at Bill Belichick like he's Bill Cowher. How about when Bill Walsh won with Joe Montana? Then Joe Montana said, you know what? I'm going to do it with George Seifert too. Bruce Arians. Did you all of a sudden look at Bill Walsh like, ew, I'm not done with you, big dog. I ain't letting you off, huh? Tony Dungy. Peyton Manning went on to win another Super Bowl with Gary Kubiak. Did you look back at Dungy like, ew? How about Jimmy Johnson, our guy? Troy Aikman got 2 with him. Troy said, all right, that's cool. Y'all got beef, you and Jerry. I'm going to go do it with Barry Switzer. Did you look at Barry Switzer and say, now I'm going to look at Jimmy Johnson like, ew? You can't do that. That's how history tells us to respect the great coaches. Someone else can do it too, but it's not to rob the great coaches.
You're going somewhere. You just do a right hook. Don't worry. Bob the weed. Because I love your point, and I love your point. We've had this before. Let's go somewhere.
Let's go.
What did these coaches do without the greats? Because, no, I didn't rob Phil Jackson. I never robbed Phil Jackson. Because Phil Jackson, without Michael Jordan, he still won. To your point, I didn't rob Greg Popovich.
He got Michael Jordan 2.0. I
didn't rob Popovich.
Got a facsimile of Michael Jordan.
I never robbed Popovich because Popovich still won without the Admiral. He still won with Duncan. And then he went on to still win. I'm not going to rob Jimmy Johnson because Jimmy Johnson, what did he do in college? He won.
He never won until the Admiral got with the big fundamental.
But I'm saying,
come on, man, those are not examples like I gave you.
I'm not robbing an individual if they still won outside of the partnership. But when you talk about Bill Belichick as a head coach, we talked about this before. Drew Bledsoe, the great $100 million Drew Bledsoe. He suffered his worst losing season under Bill Belichick. hold on now, 11 losses for Drew Bledsoe? Wait on. Now Tom Brady comes in and wins the Super Bowl. Now you just told me, Marcellus, that Robert Kraft actually bailed out Bill Belichick. Because Bill Belichick wanted to move on from Tom Brady in 2014. Marcellus' words.
Is that a bailout?
Oh, yes, he saved him from himself.
Why?
If it was up to Bill Belichick, he would have moved on from Tom Brady. Robert Kraft said, no.
Yeah.
You got 3 more Super Bowls in you.
We're doing this conversation.
Wait a second.
Okay, I got this.
If it was up to Belichick, you telling me he might have only had 3?
No.
Thank God for Robert Kraft.
You have not mastered yet the alternative universe, the alternative.
Well, I live in one. I live in reality.
Yeah, but we got to hypothetically think. You don't think that Jimmy G could have put up some Tom Brady-ish numbers with a top 10 defense that Bill Belichick always designs? And that's what Bill Belichick was thinking. He wasn't dissing Tom Brady as much as he was saying there is a next. There is someone else that can do something comparable to that. That's a different conversation, but it supports what we're having in this conversation, Bill Belichick's greatness. Bill Belichick still last year had a top 10 defense. Matter of fact, every time he had Tom Brady of late, he had a top 10 defense. 17 of his 20 seasons, he's had a top 10 defense. Tom Brady in his last 2, this is no shot at Tom Brady, but it's just that you know, Bill Belichick's a dude, man. He's different. Tom Brady has just won 2 Super Bowls, one with Todd Bowles and one with Bill Belichick. And none of those 2 teams of the last 2 Super Bowls even scored a touchdown. Think about it. The Rams, did they score a touchdown? 3 points. Did the Chiefs score a touchdown? No. So it's funny. I remember yesterday, Todd Bowles won the game. Todd Bowles did that.
Yes,
Tom Brady had nothing to do with this. It's the defense. Why are you going to rob Belichick when he did the same thing for Tom Brady in his last Super Bowl championship and give Todd Bowles all that credit?
That's a good point.
That's a good point. You got a left hook, too? I got a left.
No, here's the issue. Number one, don't act like that Rams offense is the same as the Chiefs offense.
Dog.
That Rams offense was the beast.
Only the St. Louis Rams' greatest show on turf was the Chiefs offense.
But
it was right there.
It was nice, but I'm not going to compare Goff to Mahomes. I'm not going to compare.
Don't you stall. Answer the question.
I'm just letting you know. That's the first thing. The second thing is, regardless, Belichick's not the DC. He might be there helping install the defense, but he's not the DC. So I'm not giving Belichick an additional bonus if he ain't the DC. He ain't calling the plays. I don't even know if he was installing the plays. So that's really where I'm going to go with that. It's not the same thing. It might be a little bit comparable, but it's not the same thing. So,
little dude.
I got to do you like this.
Do me somehow. Right now, the scorecard is looking at me like, you cute.
I got to do you like this.
Do me somehow.
Belichick as a general manager, we already know super suspect. We already know. Like super, look at the roster that he had, which is why Tom Brady left.
17 first-team All-Pros.
Hasn't dropped.
17 first-team All-Pros.
Hasn't drafted a Pro Bowler since 2013.
Okay.
Since 2013, Belichick ain't drafted a Pro Bowler. Number one, a roster so atrocious that the greatest quarterback of all time was like, I'm out. I'm gone. So, Belichick, we know as a GM, it was atrocious. Tom Brady had to go. So we know Belichick as a GM is already suspect. Now Belichick as a head coach. Could he have won some games with Jimmy G? Absolutely. He won some games with Matt Castle. He won some games with Cam Newton. He won some games with Drew Bledsoe. But he didn't win the chip with anybody but Tom Brady. Yeah. So again, if Tom Brady was there when Belichick won his chips, then Tom Brady left and won his chips with somebody else, a new DC, a new head coach, a new OC, then it is a little bit of an indictment on Bill Belichick. Because wherever Tom Brady goes, winning goes. Not wherever Belichick goes, Marcellus. Wherever Tom Brady goes, winning goes. The equation is in front of you. You just got to do the math, Columbia.
No, I love you, but here's the math. In 20 years, they won 6. That means in 20 years, they didn't win 14 times. The math is on the side of the field. The math is on the side of time. Like, he won't even get 20 years with Bruce Arians, but he got one fast start with Bruce Arians. Oh, the same fast start he got with Bill Belichick some 20 years ago. First time as a starter, championship. First time as a starter, championship. Let's not rob anybody of their greatness. And speaking of great head coaches, before we head to break, some sad news in the sports world today, as my former head coach, Marty Schottenheimer, passed away at the age of 77 following a lengthy battle with Alzheimer's. Marty coached with passion. He coached us tough, but did he love the game of football? I don't think a week went by when you wouldn't see Marty Schottenheimer out there giving you the business, letting you know how much he loved you, how much he cared about you, but also wanting the best for you. What a passionate man and what a man who loved the game of football. Schottenheimer is survived by his wife, Pat, his children Kristen, and Jaguars passing game coordinator Brian, and his 4 grandchildren. Marty Schottenheimer was 77 years old. Hey, speak for yourself, listeners. I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. So download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Patrick Mahomes had the worst loss in his career Sunday and was not able to repeat as a Super Bowl champion. Now, Mahomes threw 2 interceptions and was held without a touchdown for the first time this season. The former MVP said yesterday that the loss, quote, will motivate you for the rest of your career, close quote. He already seems ready for next season. Y'all take a listen.
It's not the end of something. It's going to be another chapter where we're going to have to continue to drive to make ourselves better, so that we're back in that game. I'm going to do whatever I can to kind of look at the film and try to find ways to get better. It's something that I got to kind of battle with, as I have such an aggressive nature and wanted to have the big play. But as I watch the film and really study myself, I'll have to get better at that, and so that I can kind of become a better quarterback at the end of the day.
Oh, that was an ugly loss, tough to recover from. But Marcellus, is this going to be the end of the Chiefs' dominance?
Yes, I think it's going to be the end of their dominance. And even if they have a good record, I expect them to have a good record. Even if they go into the playoffs and win a game or 2, I expect them to do just that. The air of invincibility has been removed from this team. You remember Mike Tyson fighting Buster Douglas? And you remember Mike Tyson after that fight? Even me, who used to be like, yo, if I ever saw Mike Tyson, I'm checking these cleats, I'm running. I was like, not that scary. Now, I mean, look, if Mike, before Buster Douglas, Mike walked up to me and be like, that's your girl? I'm like, no, that's not my girl. After Buster Douglas, I was like, what you asking me for? Like, I'm ready for that. That's how the Chiefs are going to see teams come at them next year. That invincibility is gone. Now, forget about the opponents, because so many times in football, we even get caught up in who we're playing. And Coach will always remind us, it's about how you play. Let's talk about the Chiefs and their disbelief right now, how they're in shock and awe of what they just went through in that Super Bowl and the hangover effect of it. I'm going to be real about this. The end justifies the means. So, you know what? If we're fighting for a Super Bowl championship, we're fighting for a dynasty, yeah, I'm running through every wall for you. We got a chance. But be real. When you don't think the same about the end game, you kind of go through the process a little differently. There are going to be Chief players out there because they're smart. Everybody invested in football has to pay attention to the same game that they're invested in. That's going to look at Patrick Mahomes and be like, when we need him most, is he going to be up for that bill? Why? Because Rex Grossman has a higher passer rating in the Super Bowl than Patrick Mahomes.
Somebody come get him. Security!
Somebody come grab my calculator while I'm at it, because 68 is Rex Grossman, and the average of 2 Super Bowls for Patrick Mahomes is 64 in passer rating. That's sick. I'm going to tell you why that matters, though. Because, like we see it all the time, they're talking about my Clippers right now, and playoff P. And, when the Clippers have the best records, people are like, so what? Wait till the playoffs. We know what's going to happen with playoff P. What about Mahomes? Does he need a nickname? What about Bo Bum P? I'm talking about you, Patrick, because you can't show up when it matters most. Jimmy G out playing you for 3 quarters. Tom Brady with his old ass out playing you for 4 quarters. And if I'm on that team, as much as I think he's amazing and the next thing, and he's great right now, I'm going to remind him, you've come up short not once, but twice in performance when we need you most. I think that's going to undermine their dominance.
You should copyright or whatever it's called, Mahomes.
Mahomes.
I hate you for that. I'm going to get you drug out the studio next time you compare Mahomes and Rex Grossman, though. Sal, this is not the end of the Chiefs'
Come on, man. Come with me.
Because you wanted to look at the Chiefs, and that's fair. Look at the Chiefs. But what I will also submit is, look at everybody else.
Oh, you want to go to opponents?
For the Chiefs to lose their dominance, someone else must become dominant or become a formidable opponent, at least in the AFC. Now, Marcellus, as I look at it, and I will probably have to regurgitate this again because I've been wrestling with this all morning. Where are the great quarterback-coach combinations in the AFC? There are none, maybe one. Great, I said. I love Baker Mayfield, but I'm not saying that he is great. I'm saying that he is good.
What?
Baker Mayfield and Stefanski, that's not a great quarterback-coach combination. Colts, they don't have a quarterback-coach combination. Steelers, they don't even have a quarterback-coach combination. You could argue Lamar Jackson and Harbaugh, but all the dysfunction going on there offensively and people saying, change your offensive coordinator. I'm worried about that quarterback-coach combination. The Bengals? They don't have a great quarterback-coach combination. In the AFC, there aren't really any great quarterback-coach combinations. Ooh. So who's going to dominate? It's only your Bills. It's only your Bills. But the question then becomes, is Josh Allen really that dude? We don't know yet. Can I see Josh Allen play 2 good games in a row, let alone 2 great years in a row? So if the Chiefs are going to lose their dominance, someone else must become dominant. But the Ravens can't beat, not Lamar Jackson's Ravens. They haven't proven to be able to beat Patrick Mahomes and them Chiefs. And Josh Allen, they haven't proven to be able to do it either. So I don't think the Chiefs will lose their dominance because ain't nobody there to dominate them, not in the AFC. Let's bring in Bucky Brooks, NFL analyst. Bucky, I want to get your take on this one. Bucky, are you confident that it's not the end for Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs?
Oh, it's over. It's all done. All done. Yes. All that stuff that we saw come in, it's all over with. And look, Marcellus brought up Mike Tyson. It's not the Mike Tyson deal. This is Deontay Whitner going against Tyson Fury. And Deontay Whitner comes in with all this stuff, big old black, masked up. He's menacing. He knocks everybody out. Tyson Fury took him and put him down. And so now what? I mean, even a small guy like me say, well, you know, give me 4 or 5 rounds. I could run around and maybe pepper Deontay Whitner up. So that's Deontay Wilder up. That's what we have. And we've seen this before. Because remember, the LA Rams a couple years ago, they were to cast me out. Everybody talked about this offense. They're doing it all. Jared Goff, Boy Wonder, Sean McVay, all these ideas. They run into a buzzsaw in the Super Bowl. They've never been the same since. And what Todd Bowles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did, they unlocked the code. They cracked the code. They now have showed the football world how to stop Pat Mahomes in this offense. So, it will never be what it was prior to the Super Bowl. They have a long way to go before they ever reemerge as the dominant team that we once feared prior to Super Bowl 55.
Fellas, y'all got to stop, man. Jared Goff is not equal to Patrick Mahomes.
In the Super Bowl.
Brandon Cooks and them dudes are not equal to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. It's just not the same. Chiefs can't lose their dominance because they're not losing their pieces. Ty Matthew coming back. Chris Jones coming back. Mahomes, Kelce, Hardeman, Watkins, all them dudes coming back. So how are you going to assume they're going to lose their dominance off one game? The Chiefs have won, Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs, have won 25 of the last 27. Fellas, y'all looking at one game, overreaction Tuesday. Oh, my God, the Chiefs lost. They're never going to be good again. They're never going to dominate again. Bucky, come on, big dog. They ain't losing these pieces. Andy Reid back. Bieniemy back. All the dudes playing the game is back. How they going to lose?
I'm assuming you don't cook much because what you did is you just pointed out all the icing, but you didn't talk about the cake. Because all those guys on the offensive line, if they come back, we know they won't dominate anymore. Mitchell Schwartz may come back. Eric Fisher may come back. But those guys are just okay. They're not dominant pieces. What everybody has seen, now you've exposed the offensive line. We've seen the Tampa Bay Buccaneers whoop those guys up front while also playing a soft coverage in the back. Patrick Mahomes had a confessional. He felt so bad about how he played. He talked about cover 2 and I got to get better. I got to take the check down and never take the play away. I just don't know what's going on and all this other stuff. So, yeah, man, I believe they're shook. And so you can talk about who they have to face in the AFC, but everybody has their chest poked out a little more because of what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did to them on Sunday.
Bucky, you watched the game too much. You assessed the game too much. Your Twitter handle, profile, bio says that you were too accomplished as far as analysts to go out there and say that all-pro right tackle Mitchell Schwartz wasn't a huge factor being out this season. To say that former first-round Eric Fisher being gone at left tackle wasn't a big deal. Because both those dudes are coming back. And they dudes now. They not just guys, they're dudes. Mitchell Schwartz has been a first-team or second-team All-Pro the last 4 years, Bucky Brooks. Like, Mitchell Schwartz alone, plus Kelechi Osemele, a left guard, was gone. Everybody was gone. I need y'all to really understand what happened to these Chiefs. This was not a lightning in the bottle of negativity, but this is not something that can continue to be repeated, particularly by teams in the AFC.
Oh, boy, stop. You keep talking about they were gone. Let me tell you about who else may be gone. We don't even know yet because the Chiefs have the 7th worst cap situation going into this offseason.
What that mean?
That means you ain't got a lot of money to retool. Let's talk about that. This team is one Tyreek Hill hamstring away from being 10-6 and one and done in the playoffs. I'm being real. And I'm glad Bucky brought up what Patrick Mahomes brought up after the game. What I brought up about Patrick Mahomes and his RPOs, run-pass option. When the defense dictates to you, you should run the ball. Patrick Mahomes all year was being applauded for bucking what they gave him and saying, I'm still going to throw it. And it caught up with him. Good for Patrick Mahomes recognizing what I've been critiquing him about, which is it's going to catch you doing the wrong things but having a good outcome. Sooner or later will come back to haunt you. And it did in the worst moment. Let's also talk about this offseason. They got a bad cap situation, and he is having offseason surgery. And the recovery time is months. Let me tell you about falling off of a cliff, because when you're going through offseason off surgery, Patrick Mahomes, his goal is to become Patrick Mahomes again, to get back to normal. Guess what the goal of every other player in the NFL that doesn't have offseason surgery is thinking? I'm going to get better than what I was. So while you're just trying to be Patrick Mahomes again, people are trying to close the gap between them and Patrick Mahomes. Let's name some of these quarterbacks in the AFC, since my co-host doesn't want to give him respect. Josh Allen. Oh, if he closes the gap, they got problems. They already won 13 games. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson. Trevor Lawrence is going to be there. I don't know how good he is, but I'm going to say his name. Joe Burrow, if he stays healthy, I don't know how good the team is going to be, but he's going to perform. Justin Herbert got things to say to this AFC about how good he's going to be. Why? Because Acho is guilty of looking at the outcome of the Chiefs and not grading the performance of the Chiefs. Let's talk about your boy, Patrick Mahomes, in regression. I'm going to talk about it again.
You said regression, Bucky?
Patrick Mahomes had a sub-100 passer rating in 5 of his last 7 games to close the season. I'm going to tell you this again. Patrick Mahomes this year had the most pass attempts in his career. But when you have the most pass attempts in your career, you would think that some of the numbers will be higher, correct? Oh, how about this in terms of regression? With the most pass attempts in the season, he had fewer touchdowns, fewer yards, fewer first downs, fewer yards per attempt, fewer yards per game, and a lower quarterback rating. Where they do that at? What kitchen cooks up the books like that, Acho? All I'm saying is, Acho keeps telling me, man, they went to 3 straight AFC championship games. They were a penalty away from another Super Bowl, and then this game, they didn't have their offensive line. Let me tell you about teams that went to 3 straight conference championship games outside of Tom Brady, because you know he does that all the time. Let's talk about the 49ers, 2011 through 2013. How many championships did they end up winning? Donut. Let's talk about the Eagles in 01 through 04 with Andy Reid. How many championships did they end up with? Donut. Let's talk about the Packers, 95 through 97. How many championships? 1. Point being, even Seattle, who didn't go to 3 straight conference championship games and got 1 championship, was dynastic at this same time through their evolution. How'd that play out? How'd that turn out? Acho, you want some of these ribs? Because right now they tasting good over here.
I'm going to let Bucky eat on them, and then I'm going to end the meal. Go ahead, Buck.
You know, Acho, so here's the thing. I think Marcellus brings up a great point.
He does.
The fact that they've been to 3 straight championship games, they've been to back-to-back Super Bowls, that disappointment, that hangover, it lingers. He brings up the Seattle Seahawks because I think it's very close to the way the Seattle Seahawks were dealing. The Seattle Seahawks went to back-to-back. They messed it up, didn't win the second of the back-to-backs, and they've never been back since. With the Kansas City Chiefs, as much as we say, hey, they'll be right back, this team has plenty of opportunities. Really, it's precious. It's in the moment. Who's to say that they can get it back with all of the cap issues that they have? Yes, they'll have Tyreek Hill. Yes, they have Travis Kelce. They have Patrick Mahomes. But man, the nuts and bolts of this operation, those pieces are going to change. How are they going to be able to do it? And also, they're not the most feared team anymore. That invincibility is gone. It changes the way people will play them. I think now it's hard for them to get back. It'll be a while before they reemerge as the bully in the AFC.
Yeah, man, the window is open, but I think it needs to be closed. How long you going to sit there with the window open, Acho, before you catch pneumonia, before you catch a cold, before you catch the flu? These cats in there are starting to get sick of these letdowns. Let's just be real. They can't count on their field general when they need them most. Listen to this list of names of quarterbacks that have a higher rating in the Super Bowl than Patrick Mahomes. Y'all ready to be blown away? Rex Grossman, I already said him. Jimmy G, Brad Johnson, Trent Dilfer, Joe Flacco, Nick Foles, Jake Delhomme. What the hell is Patrick Mahomes doing with company like that? Oh, that's not even his company. They're playing better in the Super Bowl than Patrick Mahomes has. The floor is yours, Acho.
I'm going to take the floor. I'm going to bring out the broom, sweep up y'all's nonsense, and I'm going to mop it up to make sure it's shiny when I'm done. Bucky Brooks, you first, bruh. You can't have a Super Bowl hangover from winning and have a Super Bowl hangover from losing. You can't be hungover after both being drunk and being sober. It don't make sense, Bucky Brooks. Chiefs ain't gonna have a hangover after they just
They were at the party, though. Contact high. Contact high. They're gonna contact.
I've been at the parties. I ain't never had no hangover. I just be there chilling while they drinking. While they drinking. I'm the DD. Now to you, Marcellus, because your takes make me sick.
Okay,
don't please anybody, because I feel sick off these takes. So, even if Patrick Mahomes is in regression, he's still greater than everybody else. Stop playing, Sal. Sal, as I look at things, remember, you made a top 100 list in the NFL
top
at least
50.
2 times.
Twice.
And with making a top 50 come a whole bunch of money. Come some checks. I'm not going to put your money on here, but y'all can Google search Marcellus Wiley Spoke Track. It'll tell you just how much he made. Now, Sal, financially, in theory, you've regressed from your NFL money. But guess what? You still rolling in the dough because you were such a high. Even your regression is more than everybody else. Patrick Mahomes' regression is still going to be untouchable, like my takes. Coming up, there's a lot of hype in Dallas for the Cowboys next season. But their video did not include Dak Prescott. Where'd they do that at? We'll tell you if that's a big deal. Next, speak for yourself.
Hey, Speak for Yourself listeners. It's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People's Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you. Now, back to Speak for Yourself.
When I think of Black history, I think of a quote from Malcolm X. The quote is, "The most disrespected person in America is the black woman." He said it in 1962, but it would have been relevant in any year of our nation's history, most notably when you look at the lack of representation in public office. Shirley Chisholm was the first black woman elected to the United States Congress. That was in 1968. We have never had a black female governor of any state. We've only had 2 black female senators in the United States history. However, there is room for some belief that could be changing, as we saw one of those 2 senators recently resign her office because she had to raise her right hand, as young black girls like this one pictured, my daughter, across the country did the same as she was sworn in to the office of Vice President of the United States. Black women have always been the glue that has held this country together. Here's to hoping future generations of lawmakers reflect that fact.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Reports say Dak Prescott and the Cowboys are still not close to getting a long-term deal done. Jerry Jones said earlier this season that Dak is their quarterback of the future, but if you watch the team's 2021 hype video, you might think otherwise because Dak is not in it. The Cowboys said it was, quote, simply an oversight. Take a look at this.
A team built on tradition. That tradition laced tenacity in our fibers. That means ignore the critics, embrace the love. But most importantly, in order to win, we have to work. Let's go.
Ugh. Bucky is back with us. I ain't give me hype. But Acho, is this something or nothing that the Cowboys excluded Dak from the 2021 hype video?
Fellas, it's a little bit of both. Now, y'all remember before I started on national television, I worked for the Cowboys for 2 years, worked at the Star. So I had to call some people up in the social media department because I worked there and I was like, hey, what's really good? They genuinely said it was an error of omission by the social media department. I respect that. I trust those sources. Now, with that being said, I think it's more like a Freudian slip. Now, we've seen a lot of these Freudian slips lately, especially on this network. Remember, I showed y'all the highs, and then I showed y'all. So, with that being said, I think omitting Dak Prescott, it may have been an unintentional error, but it is very revealing. Because how can anybody inside the building for the Cowboys, how can anybody inside the facility at One Cowboys Way up in Frisco, Texas, how can you make a hype video and omit Dak Prescott? You ain't gonna make a show hype video about Speak for Yourself and omit Marcellus Wiley.
Hello?
You can't do that.
Nah, B.
Because that person is the nucleus of the organization, and that's Dak Prescott. You gonna pull up old clips of Troy Aikman, find old clips of Emmitt Smith, but you ain't gonna have a clip of Dak Prescott. What that tells me is Dak Prescott isn't necessarily as top of mind as some people might think. At least not the people creating this video, which are inside of the organization. The question is very simple. Do other people share the same sentiments as the people that put this together? Or do other people share the same lack of thought about Dak Prescott as whoever and the organization of the team that created the video? I don't think it's a huge deal. But if it is a Freudian slip, y'all better watch out.
Oh, man, look, here's the thing. It's a disrespectful thing that took place. I think the Cowboys understand and value Dak Prescott. They understand what he brings to the table. They had a chance to see in real time what this team looks like with and without him. With him, they average over 30 points. Without him, they average barely a tick over 20. With him, the quarterback passer rating is over 100. Without him, we're sitting at 83.5. With him, on third down, they convert almost 50% a clip. Without him, they're down below 40%. So he has value because he not only makes the team better, he makes everyone else around him better. For so long, the conversation was, oh, Dak Prescott can't do it without Ezekiel Elliott. But lo and behold, those guys are different when Dak Prescott isn't there. Ezekiel Elliott averages 11 more yards when he has Dak Prescott around. It used to be, oh, we thought it was the other way around. Amari Cooper, oh, anybody can be a number one receiver. Any quarterback can play. But then I look at Amari's numbers. 3 more catches, 20 more yards when Dak Prescott is there. So the Dallas Cowboys understand they have a special one there. They just need to pay him. The problem is they haven't wanted to pay him, and the price keeps escalating.
Oh, Bucky, you like this video director, whoever produced this trash video, you didn't do your job. We asked you, is this something or nothing? We didn't ask you, is Dak Prescott good? We know Dak Prescott good. He's so good, he should have been in the damn video. But if I'm Dak Prescott, I'm glad I'm not in this trash video. Oh, my God. Whoever made this video, you wasting Jerry's money like I did when I played for the Cowboys. This is just crazy. Oversight? Boy, stop. This is something, y'all. Let me tell you why, because I used to be in these videos. And then I used to not be in those videos. And it wasn't by coincidence. It was like intentional. When you're worth it, they find a way. Look, they went back to Troy Aikman.
Facts.
They went to practice videos. And it didn't even get me hyped. So not only did they miss the mark in terms of getting the energy out of me, but they missed the mark in terms of really promoting not only the present, but the future. But why did they? This is why I got to support whoever intentionally left Dak Prescott out for this one reason. Dak's not under contract next year. When you do a hype video, a promotional video, you're really selling the future of this team. And wilder things have happened where Dak Prescott may not be a Dallas Cowboy next year. Think about it. Franchise tag him again, yeah, I'm saying you should. I'm saying you should sign him to a long-term deal. But what if you don't? Now, there's two schools of thought. One is you put him in the video, assuming he's going to be on the team. And if he's not, then you just put out another video saying he's not on the team anymore. But you try to get all you want out of Dak Prescott. But the other school of thought is don't put him in the video. I don't care what until he signs on the dotted line. You know why? Because that's one of the perks of being a Cowboy. It's a small perk. It's an itty-bitty perk. But the active player ego, like you saw Dak's brother had to respond to this. I would have responded the same at the height of my powers if I weren't in the video. So it's something, but to Acho's point, not that much.
Here's what we got to say, because some people are going to be sitting at home, and I know what y'all thinking. God, I hate when they make something out of nothing. Let's bear in mind, Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore are both in the video, right? And we know they coming back this past year. Cowboys had to change up defensive coordinators. But Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore, you got to go out of your way to find that shot. Like a shot of them two. You got to find that shot, put that in the video. Who else is in there? CeeDee Lamb, Ezekiel Elliott, DeMarcus Lawrence. Who else is in there? Dalton Schultz, the tight end, Amari Cooper. All the faces of the Cowboys are in the video, and this isn't something mindless. You have to intentionally find the star players and add these star players to the content so that you can push the content on one of the most followed sports handles in all of sports, not just American. So with that being said, you got to read into it. If you at home thinking, not a big deal, small fries. No. Somebody spent hours creating a whole video, finding the Cowboys star players just to leave out the star player. I just wonder, how telling is it?
I mean, maybe I'm a little different. Maybe because I'm West Coast and I'm not really tripping off bad boy. I don't need to see my quarterback all up in the video, dancing around and all that. I'm just focused on what it is. And so, my bad. I just didn't think it was that big of a deal. I think you guys are overblowing it. I think Dak is good. I think they know Dak is good. They don't need to show it off. We just do what we do. Death row, That's how we get down. I don't know.
Look, all I will say, you are funny. All I got to say, if I'm Dak, I'm glad. I'm seriously glad. Like, they did me a favor, not put me in that trash. But I told you it took hours to make that video. On what, iPhone 5 with iMovie beta? Like, that was bad. Hey, look, I call it like I see it. If y'all don't like me, okay, whatever. Dallas Cowboys. Do a better video, and do a better video by signing Dak Prescott before March 16th. And then once you sign him, then ask Dak, does he want to be in the 2.0 version of this same video? Chances are he going to say, nah, B, y'all did it right the first time. Coming up, Tom Brady is considered to be the NFL's GOAT, but we'll tell you if his GOAT status is the best in all-time sports. All team sports, next on Speak For Yourself.
Welcome back. It's time for our big story, brought to you by Farmers Insurance. Call 1-800-FARMERS for a quote. Well, the Bucs won their second title in franchise history in a very convincing way Sunday against the Chiefs. Now, what's next? That's the question. Super Bowl MVP Tom Brady is off Father Time, but he will be 44 when next season starts. The Bucs will also have key free agents, but head coach Bruce Arians said he is, quote, very confident they can get the guys back to help Tampa defend their title. Well, Bucky Brooks is back with us, speaking of getting guys back. So, Marcellus, you up first. Which is more likely, Brady's Bucs are one and done, or the next dynasty?
The next dynasty. Boy, these other 31 teams are in trouble. As Sticky Fingers once said, but wait, it gets worse, because he is coming. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. This dude went into a laboratory when leaving Foxborough and did all the probability charts and said, which team not only gives me the best chance to hit the ground running, but have continued success? He landed in the right spot, talking about Tampa Bay. Look, it's a fact that it's easier to win in year 2 for a starting quarterback with a new team than it is in year 1. Why? Don't believe me? Because there are only 2 quarterbacks before Tom Brady became the third to win a Super Bowl in their first year with a new team. Trent Dilfer and Nick Foles. You think Tom Brady a little better? Okay. Now, let's talk about in year 2. There have been 7 quarterbacks to win in year 2 with their new team. Let's book it right now. Let's make that 8 because Tom Brady is coming. Tom Brady went to a team and they did hit the ground running. The problem is they hit the ground and their first game was against a team that had won the division for the last 3 years in the New Orleans Saints. So everyone got caught up in outcome instead of performance. But Since they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, and they were doing this, stock market just going up. Ups and downs, but still continuously going up. They went 8-0 after losing to the Chiefs in Week 12. Remember that? But the scoring margin is what I love. 34-19 against all the teams that they had to play against. Now start thinking about those teams. Green Bay Packers, New Orleans Saints, etc. Great teams. But more importantly, Acho, I told you earlier in the show that the Kansas City Chiefs have the 7th worst in terms of what their cap situation is going into the offseason. Guess who has the 7th best? The Tampa Bay Bucs. And they can make it even better if they address a couple of contracts. Donovan Smith and JPP, Ryan Jansen. They address those. They can move up to 6th, even 5th best in terms of cap projections. My last point is this, and it's simple. They have a 44-year-old Tom Brady, and they have Ndamukong Suh, who's 34. But no other players on the Bucs core roster is older than 32. These boys are young, they got money, and now they had a taste of success. NFL, beware, because it's going to get worse.
I'm actually with you, Sal. No time to argue here.
Yay.
If you're telling me dynasty or one and done, Bucs are much more likely to become a dynasty. Again, Tom Brady, 7 chips out of 21 years. That means he's won 1 every 3 years. So Tom Brady alone says he's more likely to be a dynasty than he is to just kind of vanish into oblivion and not be heard of again. But beyond that, you're talking about a team that won a Super Bowl with no offseason, a team that won a Super Bowl with the players who scored in the Super Bowl. Rob Gronkowski came out of retirement, no offseason training, first year on the team. AB acquired middle of the season. Leonard Fournette acquired in the preseason. So their primary contributors in the biggest game of the season weren't even a part of the team last year, and some didn't join the team until September or November. This is now a Bucs roster that's going to have more time to work together, more time to get better. Tom Brady, I do think, will decline. Now, for Tom Brady, who knows what the decline will be? But I do think Tom Brady individually will decline. He's going to be 44. It's just a safe assumption. However, what Tom Brady, his declination, if you will, physically, he will make up for with the chemistry of 1 year closer together with that team, that organization. I don't know if the Bucs can just run the table because of all the other great NFC teams. I don't know if we'll see them back, but I'd rather say there's a chance at a dynasty than one and done.
Wait, hold on. Let me get this straight. So, because Marcellus, you accused me earlier of not listening to the question. I want to make sure I get the question.
Yeah.
So more likely one and done or dynasty.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to say that a 43, soon to be 44-year-old quarterback is going to engineer a dynasty.
Yeah.
No.
That part.
No way.
Yeah, that
no
part.
how. Everything lined up. It was the perfect storm. It worked out for them. They were winning because the team effort was great. It came together for them in the playoffs. Defense playing at a high level. Leonard Fournette became playoff Lenny, did his thing. Tom Brady made a handful of plays. They were able to overcome the bad game that he might have had in Green Bay with the turnovers. But, man, if we think that he is going to play at a high level the entire 2021 season and they're going to run this back, we're fooling ourselves because the young gunners are coming. All these young quarterbacks that are putting it together, I just can't sit here and say, oh, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to do it because in reality, they weren't the best team in the NFC this year. They won the tournament, but they weren't the best team. The Green Bay Packers are going to be right back with the 3-time MVP, Aaron Rodgers. They're not losing noticeable pieces. They're well positioned to be right there. So, no, I'm going to go with this as a one-and-done scenario more so than a dynasty.
Man, Bucky Brooks, Max Kellerman. Sorry, falling off a cliff, Brady. I'm sorry, I had to do that to my dogs. What's up, Max? Perfect storm. These suckers was 7-5, and the world was falling on their heads when they lost to the Chiefs. You talking about a perfect storm? You had to play the Saints your first game. Perfect storm. You had to play the Saints again in Week 9, got smashed both times. Perfect storm. Brady was improving every game of the year, basically. Let's talk about the last 8 games. 8-0. Let's talk about the last 8 games. 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Oh, you're like, oh, whatever. Those teams weren't that good. Oh, excuse me, Dougie Fresh. Not only was the scoring differential 34-19, but he had to face the top seed from both conferences, smashed them. Then he had to face 4 division champions, smashed them, and only had 2 truly home games. 2 home games in that stretch of 8-0. Now, let's talk about Brady's improvement, meeting with a young roster that just got their first taste of success and a winning culture. You think now they just going to sit there and say one is enough? Not with Tom Brady in the building. This is a situation where Tom Brady knows how to restore the roar in that building. I remind you, Bucky, that Brady's teams have made it to the conference championship in 3 of his last 4 seasons following a Super Bowl title. And Brady performed well individually on top of that. This is a situation set up for success, Bucky. You got something to tell me that's different? Because I don't see it.
Yeah, I got something to tell you that's different. Like, one, everything won't go according to script as it did this postseason.
Facts.
They won't face offensive line that had injuries in each of their matchup. The Green Bay Packers likely will not lose David Bakhtiari heading into this matchup. The Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl probably won't lose both of their starting offensive tackles. We think about Drew Brees playing with 11 broken ribs. Those things are not likely to happen. They're going to have to beat teams at their best. And as we talk about the declining nature of Tom Brady, because what he does, he makes up for in his mind. But physically, at some point, it falls off the cliff. So when we talk about odds, and most likely, it is most likely that he will fall off a cliff and this defense will not be able to hold him up more so than he is going to play great, and his defense is also going to play great. Give me the odds. I will play the field. This is a one-and-done scenario.
You know I don't gamble, but, hey, I take somebody money all day. So, look, maybe next year the Bucs won't have a rookie offensive lineman. Oh, they won't because Tristan Wirfs will be in his second year. Oh, maybe next year Gronk won't be coming off of retirement and chilling. Actually, will be coming off of some conditioning and a Super Bowl championship. Maybe he'll be better. He's only 31. Oh, you can look all around, all these young stars that they have that are blooming. Maybe they will blossom right before our eyes. Bucky, you're betting, but you're betting wrong. Go, Brady. Go get these boards again for all us old men out here. Coming up, Patrick Mahomes says losing the Super Bowl will motivate him next season. We'll tell you if the loss was actually a good thing. That's next on Speak for Yourself. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. The Bucs blew out the Chiefs Sunday, ending KC's attempt at repeating as Super Bowl champs. Patrick Mahomes finished with 2 interceptions and was not able to get in the end zone. But Mahomes is already focused on next year, saying yesterday, quote, "I'm going to look at the film and try to find ways to get better." That's right. So, Acho, will the Super Bowl loss actually be good for Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs?
Man, I don't know where you're going on this one. I'm excited for your take, but I'm going to give mine. At first, I wanted to say yes. But then I really started thinking about it, Sal, and I said, no, sir. I'm reminded of it's a meme or something, and it's if you were to put $500,000 on a table or a book on how to make $500,000 on the table, which you gonna pick? Give me the $500,000 because there's no guarantee that the book will educate me as to really be able to make it myself. So the Chiefs, the assumption we're making here is that this loss to the Buccaneers is going to teach them enough to now go win 2 titles. Because a loss to the Buccaneers, if all they do is go win 1 title, that's not enough. They lost a title. So the loss to the Bucs got to teach them enough to go win 2. It sounds so simple, but let's look at history, Sal. We talked about this before. Russell Wilson, his 2nd year in the league, he won his chip. 3rd year in the league, he learned a lesson. I don't take losses, I take lessons. What lesson did he learn?
To cook?
He learned the lesson. At the 1-yard line, don't get cute. Hand the ball off to your running back if the game's on the line in a championship. Problem, he hasn't been to another championship. Hello? Chip. He hasn't even been back to an NFC championship. Aaron Rodgers, his 3rd year as a starter, wins the Super Bowl. 4th year, they go 15-1. Surely Aaron Rodgers is going to be back. Problem, he hasn't been back to the Super Bowl since, and he's 0-4 or 5 in NFC championships. Chips. On paper, you might want to think, the old Instagram caption, "I don't take losses, I just take lessons."
Oh, God.
Sure, but you better find a way to manipulate that lesson into more than what you lost.
Yeah.
And I don't know that the Chiefs will be able to take this lesson into more than what they lost, which would have to be at least 2 chips.
Man, golly. Damn, I love you. Listen, people don't understand how we do this show. We do this show. Let me give you the synopsis of this show. So we do our morning call, right? And Acho, you're our creative director, let's just say. There's a lot of these questions, you, Cove, and all y'all do it. And then me and Helen just say, "What you think, Marley?" And I'm like, let's go. And there's always this, reservation of what is Acho going to say? So it makes me over-prepare for a lot of topics because I don't know what the hell you're going to say. But, boy, it makes me feel good when you say exactly what I want to say. This whole notion, psychology of, yeah, it's good to be an underdog. What the hell? Not a single soul ever in human history has wanted to be an underdog. But once you are forced to be an underdog, you can make lemonade out that situation. But I'm sorry, Chiefs. You're in a bad predicament right now, and it's by your own doing. Look at this situation for what it is. It seems like everyone's going to run with the narrative, oh, man, they've been humbled. You know, now they understand what it takes and how close they are and all that. But I ask people, can you be humbled if you were already humble? Uh-oh. What am I saying? Because I thought Patrick Mahomes was humble. Matter of fact, I know he was humble. So how are you going to get humbled now? Uh-oh. Only the cocky are humbled. So either admit the Chiefs were arrogant and cocky, or y'all ain't going nowhere. Let me tell you why. Because underdogs in the NFL last year were 86 and 182. Underdogs. Now, the Chiefs won't be an underdog in many games, so let's take it further. Super Bowl hangovers for losing teams. Uh-oh. There's only been one team to lose the Super Bowl and make it back the following year since the mid-90s. Uh-oh, that ain't good. Okay, what about this? 3 of the last 5 teams to lose in the Super Bowl ended up missing the playoffs the following season. Not the Chiefs, not the Chiefs. Oh, you're going to be cocky like they were. That's the problem with this situation. How are you going to climb yourself out of where they were in terms of mindset? Like, they were fully motivated. They were thinking dynastic. They thought they knew the formula that could get them their dynasty. And now they're Russell Wilson, like you said. First year, as a starter, you lose in the playoffs. Second year, you win a Super Bowl. Third year, you lose in the Super Bowl to Tom Brady. What happens that 4th year for Russell Wilson? May happen for the Chiefs.
So you got to personalize it, bro, because a game of football, the more I do this show, is like the game of relationships. And to me, it's a game because I'm still single. So you might learn a lesson in a relationship, right, man? Okay. I tricked this one off, if I can use that figure of speech. I messed this one up. I don't know what to do, but I learned from this last relationship. When I'm in this next one, I promise I'm going to do right. Only problem. What if there ain't another one? Like, what if you don't have the next opportunity to actually display what you learned? And that's the problem the Chiefs could potentially face. It's like, what if there's not another one? Be real. Patrick Mahomes didn't really get hurt this season. Not anything substantial.
Like
Tyreek Hill, he ain't really get hurt this season. Not anything substantial. Right. Travis Kelce, he ain't really get hurt this season. Not anything substantial. Yes, they lost both their tackles, lost their left guard. They lost some pieces. Clyde Edwards-Helaire for a chunk of time. But, like, you didn't lose any of the big dogs that without them, you may drop several games, end up in a wild card, and have to climb a mountaintop you wouldn't have rather had to climb. So the Chiefs had it pretty good this year, all things considered. Think about the Cowboys lost 8 pieces. Eagles had no O-line. Cowboys had no O-line. Giants lost their star running back. Like, all things considered, Chiefs actually had it pretty good this year.
Great.
I don't care about all these lessons. Like, lessons are still losses. You just hope that the lesson will amount to a gain. But when you lose a Super Bowl, that gain has to be so great, so grandiose, that it can overcome that and overcome that loss. I don't see it happen.
Yeah, they're trying to run with the whole, we're inspired now. You weren't inspired before. You knew it was on the line. That's why they only lost 1 game in the last 27. Like, don't give me that. They're trying to put condiments on something that doesn't taste good. And I get it. You got to make lemonade in this situation. But it's a little Stockholm syndrome. It's a little bit embracing being exposed, being beat down, and trying to say, no, this is okay. It's not okay, y'all, because things won't go as planned and as advertised going forward. You bring up relationships. Let me end it with a relationship kind of story. I was super single for a minute there. And being super single, you're in the club a lot of times. You're in situations with people who are super single, but in transition. And I had a lot of friends in transition of their super singleness.
What's that mean? Well, break that down.
They in the club, but they got 4 girls around them or 4 dudes around them. I'm tired of this. I'm like, no, you ain't, because you got 4 around you and you're over here choosing. So they were in transition, right? And I came up with this saying, a Wileyism, because I got tired of people's actions not really meeting their words and their words not meeting their actions. I used to say, don't miss the boat waiting on a yacht. And if you know what that means in terms of this conversation and all conversations, sometimes you can say, oh, it's going to be better next time, greater. Okay, you be at that harbor a long time, hungry and looking a mess. Coming up, Carson Wentz's time in Philly could be coming to an end. We'll tell you if it would be smart for the Eagles to trade their quarterback next. Speak for yourself.
Chip, 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 chip. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz is expected to be traded soon by the Eagles, according to reports, with Philly looking for a Matthew Stafford type of package. Remember, Stafford went to the Rams for a deal that included 2 first-round picks and Jared Goff. Now, Wentz is coming off his worst season in the league and was replaced late in the season by Jalen Hurts, a second-round pick that the Eagles had drafted. So, Marcellus, would it be a smart move for the Eagles to trade Carson Wentz?
Yeah. It's time to let him go, man. Let him go. Bye-bye. Yeah, and it's not even because of how bad he performed this year. Obviously, that gives you a foundation to build upon where you say it's time for him to exit Philadelphia. I'm trying to be serious on this one because you know how bad I think he is as a quarterback. But I don't want him to have to return to the scene of the crime. And the scene of the crime looks like this for y'all who have not crossed the yellow tape. There's a statue of his former backup that he has to see every time he pulls into the stadium. And then you're like, oh, that's not that bad. It's just once every other 2 weeks. Okay, how about now you want him to go to practice and see the same guy who just took his job as a rookie last year and fight for his job? When I'm going to tell people who don't know how the NFL really feels. One, when you're making more money than somebody, you already feel like, I got him. He ain't got him. And then 2, the coach of their group, their position group coach, is his uncle, Jalen Hurts' uncle. Okay, 3, he already took your job before. So you got to go to practice every day and see the guy who took your job. And then you got to go to the stadium and see the guy who not only took your job, but got a Vince Lombardi trophy for the city and the organization. Why make him return to that scene of that crime? The dude will be PTSD in that situation. And it means something different in Philly. It means Philly's trash, sorry dude gots to go. Yes, right. Damn it, I said it. Let that man go, have a change of scenery like Alex Smith did. And Alex Smith was bad to good in San Fran, but a change of scenery did well for him going forward. Ryan Tannehill, bad to good to change of scenery, even better. Jay Cutler, I have a list here. Basically, let him go, let him free so we can see the best of Carson Wentz.
I kind of agree. Because Carson Wentz wants out, it's probably smart to trade him.
Okay.
But I don't think the Eagles should trade him because if you're trading Carson Wentz, then you're hoping that with those draft picks, you can get something that will amount to greater than Carson Wentz. That's the first thing. The second thing you're hoping and trusting is that Jalen Hurts is a quarterback of the future.
Okay.
Now, I can tell you while there are errors in both of those logics that you have. Number 1, Jalen Hurts. How great is he? Let's bring up the full screen if we shall. Of all the completion percentages of quarterbacks who threw more than 125 attempts, 41 quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts had the worst in the league. And this isn't Acho cooking books. This isn't me searching for a stat. Completion percentage is a top 5 statistic when assessing a quarterback. Jalen Hurts was the worst. Let's talk about Jalen Hurts as a winner. He went 1-3 for the Eagles. Now, we say Jalen Hurts got pulled against Washington, which he did, but he had an interception and 72 yards at the time. So it's not like he was just dominating and blowing the game away. So you have to be convinced that Jalen Hurts is a future. I'm not necessarily convinced of that. Second thing, you have to be convinced that you can parlay whatever you receive for Carson Wentz into something greater than Carson Wentz. Who's running the show for the Eagles? Howie Roseman, a man who I respect at this junction in time, but I also realize first-round pick for the Eagles last year, Jalen Reagor, drafted before Justin Jefferson. Jalen Reagor didn't really make any noise. First-round pick for the Eagles a year before, Andre Dillard. Andre Dillard, no fault of his own, but hurt this year, hasn't truly contributed. First-round pick the year before. Oh, they didn't have one. First-round pick the year before, Derek Barnett. Now, Derek Barnett was on the team that won the Super Bowl, but he ain't really been a world beater. First-round pick the year before, Carson Wentz. The only player since 2014 the Eagles has drafted that's amounted to a Pro Bowler. So the only player that the Eagles have used to pick on sale that's turned into a Pro Bowler is the same player they want to go trade off. So if you are the Eagles, is it smart to trade Carson Wentz? You got 2 things to look at. Do we have a viable starter in Jalen Hurts as a backup? The answer is not undeniably yes. The second thing, can we do something with those picks that's greater than Carson Wentz? Again, the answer is not undeniably yes. That's what gives me pause.
You know what is an undeniably yes answer? Carson Wentz is horrible. last year at least.
True.
Be real.
That's real.
Second worst completion percentage in the NFL. Good Lord. Second worst passer rating in the NFL. Good Lord. Took the most sacks of any quarterback in the league. Good Lord. So when you show me a full screen like that, I respect it. But then I want you to respect the fact that Carson Wentz was right there for 12 games and is not a rookie, was in his 5th year. Carson Wentz is 24-30-1. Carry the one. Oh, that's a losing record. In the 4 seasons outside of that one great season where he went 11-2. So the averages, law of averages, tells me that Carson Wentz is a losing quarterback. Now, let's talk about Jalen Hurts in his rookie year. This is interesting. In the 3 games that he started and played the whole game, they averaged 437 yards per game. Second in the entire NFL, only behind one team, my Buffalo Bills. That's interesting because Jalen Hurts sounds like he's a guy who could just make others better. So when you talk about these first-round picks that have not hit, maybe Jalen Hurts is the one that could activate them, kind of how Nick Foles did before with this same locker room. Let's talk about how that same locker room has been lost before in reports by Carson Wentz. He out there buying shotguns and trying to buy dudes for Christmas. But the reports are it's a divided locker room then and now in terms of Nick Foles and with Jalen Hurts. So, Acho, I'm looking at a guy in Carson Wentz who's regressed in completion percentage, passing yards per game, and passer rating each of the last 2 seasons. If you could get a king's ransom for him, you think of him like this, but somebody else thinks of him like this. That gap is too wide for me not to consider it and let him go.
Here's the debate. The question comes down to this. Is Carson Wentz as good as he was in his MVP caliber season? Is he as bad as he was this past season? I shake my head to both.
Yeah,
right? Like, I don't think Carson Wentz is as good as he was in 17. I don't think he's as bad as he was now. So I think he's somewhere in the middle. But in the middle, he's really about 16-16, or he's 21-22. He's a 500 quarterback. And if you want to take away his best, if you want to take away his worst, if you want to aggregate the two, best season, worst season, he's still 14-10-1. So as I look at Carson Wentz, I'd at least want one more opportunity to see what's up. It's risky, but so is those first-round picks. You don't know what they'll turn into.
You ain't lying.
Coming up, the Bucs are the Super Bowl champs, but we'll tell you if the Chiefs have a better shot at returning to the Super Bowl next season. That's next on Speak for Yourself.
Good point. New tracks, new teams, and a new champ. The 2021 NASCAR season starts in just 5 days with the Great American Race. Daytona 500 Sunday, only on Fox. Welcome back. There's still confetti on the ground in Tampa after the Bucs Super Bowl win on Sunday, but we're looking ahead. Chiefs and Bucs have the best odds to return to the Super Bowl, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook. Again, Tom Brady will be 44 years old next season, while Patrick Mahomes says Sunday's loss was motivation. T.I., shout out. So, Acho, are you more confident in the Bucs or Chiefs returning to the Super Bowl next season?
More confident in the Chiefs. We've done a lot of mental calisthenics this block. Are the Bucs more likely to be one and done or a dynasty? Did the Chiefs learn a lesson in their loss? But if you're just asking me this black and white question, I'm more confident in the Chiefs because they have the path of least resistance.
Okay.
It is Black History Month, though.
Who has the path of least resistance?
The Chiefs. Think about Bucs.
Really?
Bucs, you got to go through Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur. It's a good head coaching quarterback combination. Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay. It's a good head coach quarterback combination. Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson. That's a good head coach quarterback combination. Drew Brees, if he comes back, plus Sean Payton. That's a good head coach quarterback combination. I just named 4 or 5 right there. But in the AFC, Patrick Mahomes don't really got to go through nobody. Like,
really?
Buffalo. I can't. I'm gonna get there, but I can't up for Baker Mayfield. But I'm not convinced that him and Stefanski are really about to be a 13-3 dominant team that can beat the Chiefs. The only teams I look at are, like you said, it's the Bills and it's the Ravens. But I don't trust the Ravens, Lamar Jackson-led Ravens, as it's being coached right now with this run exclusively type of offense to be able to outduel the Chiefs. Steelers, Big Ben, I ain't worried about him. The Texans, Deshaun don't even want to be there. I ain't worried about them. The Colts, they ain't got a quarterback. I ain't worried about them. So the Chiefs just have an easier path of resistance. People gonna bring up Herbert. Let's not forget, the Chargers, even with the offensive rookie of the year, ain't win no games this year. So I'm not really worried about what the Chargers about to do. The Broncos in the division, what they do, they don't even want their quarterback. So the Chiefs have an easier path to go against. So give me the Chiefs as a better chance to return.
It is February 9th, 2021.
Yes, sir.
Let's go back in time. February 9th, 2020. you were sitting there, I don't know when the hell the Chiefs won their Super Bowl, but they were Super Bowl champions, right? And then you're looking around like, ain't nobody out there. First of all, let me answer this question. It's the Buccaneers. I believe in them returning to the Super Bowl more so than the Chiefs. Did you believe in the Tampa Bay Bucs last year on February 9th, 2020?
I didn't believe in them 2 weeks ago. What you mean? I didn't believe in them on February 1st.
How'd that turn out for them Chiefs? Be careful of your forecast, weatherman, because just bring your umbrella just in case. It's going to rain on these Chiefs again. It's going to be sad because all those quarterbacks you named, the Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, let's talk about Joe Burrow. Let's talk about the fact that Baker Mayfield, whatever you think of him, he got a squad, and his squad is going to get healthier next year. OBJ's back. I hope y'all understand that you're better with OBJ, but they're still good without him. Dog, that's murderer's row, like in terms of squad. I understand what you're saying. Well, head coach and quarterback, maybe not. But this offseason, Patrick Mahomes won't improve, or at least have the same opportunities to improve with surgery versus everyone else who's just going to hit the ground running. He has turf toe with surgery. We both have had turf toe, and it hurts. You got to have surgery. I never had surgery on turf toe, so I can imagine what he's going to go through for the few months of recovery. Teams and players are going to get better, close that gap. They also have to deal with the fact that they're going to implode, bro. They have the 7th worst cap situation. And let's look at these names, man. Sammy Watkins, think what you want of him. Demarcus Robinson, think what you want of him. I can name 3 offensive linemen right here. And then Damian Wilson, Breland. Like, they have decisions to make with players that are supporting cast, if not good players. But more importantly, the guys up front. Everyone's telling me the reason they lost is because of the guys up front. Well, when you got 3 linemen right now that are notable free agents, you got an issue right there. Then you got guys returning from injury. And then you got a team that's coming off of a Super Bowl hangover and defeat. Man, the Super Bowl hangovers is not good for these teams. 3 of the last 5 teams that lose in the Super Bowl, they don't even go back to the playoffs. I don't think they're going to be that bad. But if you're trying to go against the Bucs team with only 2 players over 31 years old that are part of their core, they have the 7th best cap situation. Oh, it's a recipe for success in Tampa.
But you also got to think, Sal, before you can get to the playoffs, you have to win your division in theory, right, to solidify your spot.
Well, not our Super Bowl champion. They didn't win the division.
But that's the point is, like, if you don't win the division, now you're praying for a wild card. Whose division's more competitive? I think, like, the Chiefs got a much easier path because the Raiders are okay.
Raiders beat them last year.
Yeah, but the Raiders...
Chargers are coming. It took them to overtime.
They're coming, but the Chargers are such a deficit that, like, do you think that...
Are the Saints going to beat them twice next year? No.
Who do you
Carolina?
Who's more likely to win their division?
Atlanta. Tampa Bay now, because they already think Drew Brees Drew Brees and the Saints and just that continuity. They caught them slipping this year because they didn't have the continuity. This year, Tampa Bay has the continuity. Kansas City's going to be trying to reconfigure their formula. This is what's interesting about Tampa Bay. Because Patrick Mahomes finally listened to the critics, like myself, saying, just take what the defense gives you, bruh. You don't always have to be Superman with the Hail Mary throws. He's going to look different. Their offense is going to look different. They're on plan B in terms of their offensive production. Will it be as explosive? Their defense already compromised, especially in run defense. It's going to be different in Kansas City, where in Tampa Bay, they're feeling good. They're drinking that sauce, and there's going to be more of it to pour next year. Coming up, Uncle Jimmy's not done talking about what happened to his Chiefs in the Super Bowl. He's still super salty. Well, that's next on Speak for Yourself. Before we go, Uncle Jimmy joins us. Still in mourning after what happened to his Chiefs in the Super Bowl. How could I? So, Uncle Jimmy, what's on your mind?
Hey, man. Let me tell you something. I remember one day my daddy told me, he said, son, fair exchange is never robbery. He said, do you know what I mean by that? And I was kind of young, so I told him the truth. I said, no, sir. He said, here, let me show you. And he robbed me, and I've never seen him again. Now, it took me a minute, but I finally realized what it was that he was teaching. That was his way of telling me that, son, if you're going to talk the talk, you need to be ready to walk the walk. That means that if you run past somebody and you chuck deuces at them, and then to add insult to injury, you do a backflip into the end zone, bro, don't get mad when you see that person again, and then they bust you in the back of the head, and then they chuck deuces at you and talking about, now how many fingers am I holding up? Then Tyrann Matthews is running around on Twitter talking about Tom Brady attacked me. Tom Brady's the great white. He's an endangered species. You ain't got no business laying no hands on him. What the hell's wrong with you? That's what happened.
That was good. He came around. Fox Bet Live is next. Deuces.